bubble teams is referring to seeds 5 through 8 and seeds 9 through 12 on both the Eastern and Western Conference. This is a commentary on matchups, and we are a predictions program, meaning we do not know everything, but we're trying to predict and foresee what's happening next. For our predictions, we use the past, in this case yesterday, and along with today, in order to see the whole scope for tomorrow. And it's called a playoff race for a reason, constantly in movement. So this program caters to that. I know I mentioned in the program yesterday that the lineup wasn't as exciting as before. I was totally wrong with that. It is very, very, very exciting, last night's games, and we just got to get right to it. So here we go. All right, so some serious bubble teams, and serious is the word for today. Serious is the word for last night. And I would just describe, there was a silent intensity last night in games and how focused these teams were. They were very serious about their futures. There were some special games last night. Very, very special. I would say maybe even some of these games might even be the highlight of some seasons. So there were 6 relevant games last night. And out of those 6, there were 6 winners from those games, but there was 3 really big winners. 3 teams that had very special games last night that I want to highlight. Starting with the Trailblazers. Oh my goodness, Damian Lillard. Oh my gosh, we have to start there first and foremost. Whew. Okay, so the Trailblazers were down. It was such a great game. Chicago Trailblazers, we knew it was going to be, but it ended up being even more than we imagined because the Trailblazers were down 5 points with 11.5 seconds left and ended up winning the game on a buzzer beater. So what that tells us is so many things. First of all, Damian Lillard is extraordinary. He's extraordinary, and it is his team, and his team is extraordinary with him, and he is extraordinary with his team. But it also shows, a lot about the maturity level of the Trailblazers and the fact that any team that plays them, no matter who you are, if you're up 5 points with 11 seconds left, you are still not sure to win that game. That's what the Trailblazers really proved last night above all. I also want to give a shout out to the Chicago Bulls, for being in that position in the first place. They were doing so well. It was just all the way literally down to the 11 seconds. They played a perfect game. But that kind of brings up, something that I really want to talk about for the future is that a good measurement of a mature team is how they handle end of game situations. So all that tells me about Chicago is that they're just lacking a little bit of maturity that a lot of these veteran seasoned teams have at end of game situations, and they're only going to get better and learn from this, even though it's a hard lesson to learn. But it's still, the fact that they were in that position shows even Chicago is very serious about building towards a playoff potential. Okay, next we're going to go to the Hornets. The Hornets were so incredible as well. Beat a really good Bucks team. It was another game that was just all over the place in terms of lead swings and things like that. It was so much excitement. You cannot talk about the Hornets and not talk about LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball was absolutely incredible. He's so important. He's an off-the-bench commodity. He's just a commodity at this point for the Hornets. He changes the chemistry, and he changes everything when he steps on the court. And he changes the energy. He changes so much. But what I was so impressed with is him as a rookie was just the way that he did everything. He was so determined, and his determination is so matched by his teammates. But at the end of the game, it's 4 minutes left in the game. He gets an offensive rebound that didn't get converted, but it's just those little hustle plays. Then the next play, he gets a steal, okay? Then he gets an and one, and then he gets another steal, and it's 2:46. I mean, those are the kind of plays that are always going to have you set up to be successful. And I also just love the entire Hornets team, but I had to just give a special shout out to LaMelo Ball. My goodness, so incredible. I can't emphasize that enough, how these Hornets are rocking, okay? The Hornets moved up to 8th place now, so they're actually a solid 8 seed now, and they're looking to really build that. I think they will build on that momentum, because last night they beat a very, very seasoned Bucks team, and so I'm just got to give props to them. And then finally, the last team that I want to really emphasize that had a super special game last night would be the Grizzlies. The Memphis Grizzlies, they defeated the Spurs 129-112. That is no small feat. The Grizzlies, cannot say enough great things about the Grizzlies. I saved the best for last on this point because to me, the Grizzlies are the definition of a serious team. They are so serious how they carry themselves. They have so much discipline. They are just so just solid and steady team. Of course, Ja Morant is the first person you think about when you think of the Grizzlies, but he's got a whole team. It's not just one player. Their system, they're so fundamental. They're so, they just do all the little things and they just keep coming in waves. They've got such a great team. And I think that they're going to be the team to really look out for because what they were able to do to a very disciplined Spurs team was absolutely incredible. And I just think that, they kind of set the tone, which I kind of knew that the game would be like that, but it was even more than I imagined what the Grizzlies shown. And that's going to be exciting to watch. So those are the three big winners. All right, so finally, let's talk about today's games. I hate to say it because I don't want to jinx myself, but I really think that tonight's games are going to be exciting. Every night's going to be exciting, though, as I can see already in the NBA this year. But there are 5 relevant games tonight to this program, starting with the Clippers versus the Knicks. That's happening right away. It's happening at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm hoping to get this video out before that game is. But if not, you can rewatch the game. You can check out the scores. If nothing else, look at the scores because the scores will really tell the story. And so, but the Clippers are playing the Knicks, and that's going to be really great because the Knicks are the 9 seed. Obviously, this is a Western Conference opponent for the Knicks, but this is the Clippers. They can actually match up against a top team and see how they really look because I really like how these Knicks are looking, but you're only going to be able to see how good you are when you're facing the top competition. So that's what they have today, the Knicks do, and it's just going to be a really good gauge for where the Knicks are in terms of a realistic chance at being a top team. And then we've got the Jazz versus the Nuggets and the 76ers versus the Pacers. So those are both happening tonight. And the Jazz versus Nuggets is a 1 versus 5. Jazz is in first place, Nuggets are in 5th place. And then on the Eastern side, 76ers, who are first place, are playing the Pacers, who are 5th place. So you got a 1 versus 5 and a 1 versus 5 on the East and West. Those are the games, the major ones that you want to watch tonight because you've got Denver and Indiana really vying to be a top-tier team. Here's their challenge. They get to see the top team in their conference. This is going to give you a playoff preview. It's going to give you basically everything you're going to need to know about how the top teams match up against legitimate contending teams will be answered today. And then we have the Magic Raptors. And even though Orlando's in 10th place and Toronto's in 12th, those are really important games for these teams because they got to piggyback off each other. Someone has to move up, someone has to move down. And I think that, both these teams, Magic and Raptors, have a really good, solid history. They're just trying to find their way this season. So this Magic Raptors game is going to be really interesting to see that happening. And then finally we have the Cavs versus the Timberwolves. A good game, obviously another Eastern-Western Conference crossover, but Cleveland's in 7th place. Cleveland has a lot of questions to answer, and I think that they'll be able to get those answers tonight playing against the Timberwolves. Thank you for watching BBall Pro Insider, and catch me tomorrow.